true crime podcast involving manipulation, deception, and murder captured the nation's attention this fall.
Dirty John is about a woman in her 50s who was swept off her feet by someone she thinks is the perfect man. In reality, he's a sociopathic con artist who ended up trying to kill her daughter. That woman and her daughter live right here in Henderson. And Fox 5's Kathleen Jacob talked to both of them, and here's their story. Kathleen.
Yeah, John, Christine, Deborah Newell met John Meehan in October of 2014. At the time, she lived in California. She'd been married and divorced a couple times before, and she thought finally this was the real thing. But very quickly, things took a turn, and she and her family realized they were dealing with a dangerous con artist, one that would stop at nothing to get what he wanted.
I met him on a dating website, and he tended to have everything on my checklist that I was looking for.
Deborah Newell is a very successful woman. She owns a thriving interior design business, has a beautiful family, and was ready to share her life with someone who valued those things.
When he said he had been to Iraq, Doctor Without Borders, that impressed me also.
She met John Meehan in 2014, and they immediately hit it off.
It moved very quickly, and I was sort of, how do I put it? I was swept off my feet.
John said he was a doctor, owned multiple homes, was a family man.
He would get dressed in his scrubs, and yet he wasn't bringing in income. He said all his money was going towards his kids.
Deborah was blinded by love at the time, but her kids were not.
I just wanted her to look at the red flags and slow it down, like pump the brakes.
Her daughter Tara and other family members expressed their concerns about John, but Deborah was head over heels.
It was like a swept off your feet, like I'm saying, romance, and I just fell hard for him. I wasn't quite ready to get married. He would ask me at least, I'm going to say between 10 and 20 times a day.
Finally, after knowing John less than 2 months, she agreed.
I let my heart lead opposed to my head, and I should have let my head lead. But we went to Vegas and got married.
We pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. Oh my gosh.
But this happy moment didn't last long.
And I was seeing signs, and I'm thinking, what did I do? What did I do? Why did I marry this man? I had my family that is amazing. I have the best family. And a couple of my kids started looking into him.
What they found? Prison records, restraining orders, proof that he wasn't a doctor after all, signs of drug addiction. The list goes on.
I was so torn because part of me made a commitment and I need to honor it. The other part of me says, he's a bad guy. You need to get away.
So she did, but John was able to reel her back in.
He's got an excuse for every single one. And here's a lawyer saying that he can prove that John's innocent. You've fallen in love with someone, you want to believe them. At the same time, your gut's telling you it's not right.
A few months later, Deborah realized she'd made a mistake.
He has sent some pretty evil text messages. I hope you went to church today, because I have a really bad feeling about you.
And to her daughter,
I hope you fall out of a building, land on your head, and your brains splatter all over the place. I will be laughing.
Then they read a chilling report about his time in jail.
He cut his stomach open in jail, and then he put poop in it so he could go to the hospital and get it fixed. I just knew if he could do that to himself, he could hurt someone else without giving it a second thought.
I started hiding. I wore a brown wig at times. I couldn't go into my office.
Deborah lived with fear and anxiety for months, scared to death that John would find her or her kids. And then in August of 2016, her fears came true.
My dog started to bark and growl at this person, and I just thought it was a homeless guy, to be honest.
Tara had just gotten home from work, her mind on the concert she was going to that night.
And this guy came up and grabbed me by the waist, looked me in the eyes, and he said, "Do you remember me?" I just didn't even say anything to him. I just tried to flee and get away from him. And he started to punch me, but I didn't realize it was stabbing. He tried to cover my mouth. I bit him as hard as I could. I ended up going down to the ground and being on my back, and he was doing this with a knife, but the knife was in a Del Taco bag. The knife fell out of the bag and it landed right here. So I picked up the knife and I started just wailing on him. I got him right here, and then I also got the last one in his eye, and the last one I kind of did give a second thought. I was like, I don't want him to get back up. I don't want him to try to hurt me again. If he gets back up, he's gonna kill me.
Tara says she started screaming for help and ran.
I called my mom and I told her, I'm so sorry I killed your husband.
She had been stabbed in the chest, in the arm, and a little bit of a fracture here where he missed. I had more guilt than you know what to do with. I just thought, I caused this.
Doctors declared John brain dead. Finally, this family's nightmare is over. Now, Deborah's making it her mission to help others like her, victims of people that use coercive control.
First, they try to listen to you, to get to know you. Then they say everything right, what you want to hear. So they're able to be what you want.
Using her nightmare to try and save others.
There are women that are probably scared to death to leave, don't see any other way of getting out of the relationship. And I want to have a voice for them.
Deborah did go to police multiple times, but because John never physically abused her, she says they weren't able to do anything. However, in the UK, a law has just been passed where people can be arrested for coercive control, that manipulation, those threats, the lies, the deceit. Deborah hopes that spreads here to the U.S., but in the meantime, she'll keep doing all that she can to warn others about people like John. Guys?
Wow, that just an unbelievable story. Thanks for sharing that, Kathleen. For more, including more of Deborah's interview, we couldn't fit it in tonight's story. You can head out and check our website, fox5vegas.com.